Bethany. The biblical city of Bethany is primarily known in the Gospels as a home of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. Ancient Bethany held an important place in the life of Jesus Christ. Jesus often found himself staying in Bethany at the home of his closest friends. He could receive shelter and meals and from his friends' house and company. He ministered in Jerusalem and other nearby areas. Bethany is located on the Mount of Olives, eastern slope. According to John 11:18 in the New King James Version, now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles away, and lies southeast of Jerusalem. Bethany became the final stop before Jerusalem, just off the main east-west road from Jericho. It was an easy stop for travelers and traders. Being located at the foot of the mountain, the inhabitants could not see Jerusalem, thus giving Bethany a sense of seclusion and peacefulness. The road between Bethany and Jerusalem provided a ready route for travel across all of it, with the journey taking about 55 minutes to walk. Since the year AD 333, Bethany has primarily boasted about being the home of Lazarus' tomb. Over this site, a church called the Lazarean, or Shrine of Lazarus, was erected. This shrine later aided in giving a new name for the town. However, El Arizian is the Arabic name of the present-day village. Regardless, the tradition, historical, and biblical connection of Lazarus with Bethany has been secured. There are no Old Testament references to Bethany in the Bible. However, it is mentioned in each of the Gospels. Role of a city in the Bible, the primary event in the New Testament taking place in Bethany, involved the raising of Lazarus from the dead. John 11 through 12. This magnificent miracle by Jesus demonstrated his authority, prepared for his resurrection, and was even magnified through the name of his friend. Lazarus, the name Lazarus is an abbreviation of Eliezer, meaning God has helped. After a message was sent to Jesus in Perea by Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, he returned to Bethany 4 days after the burial of Lazarus. Following spending time with Martha and Mary individually, Jesus' love for Lazarus and his family finally became evident in his tears. Then, in a public display of prayer and power, Jesus raised his good friend from the dead. Another significant occurrence in Jesus' life occurred in Bethany at the home of Simon the leper. Matthew 26:6-7 states, "And when Jesus was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him, having an alabaster flask of very costly." Mark 14:3 restates the same account. Late on Tuesday night of Jesus' last week, a woman, recognized as Mary in John 12:3, gave Jesus his burial anointment. Coming to Jesus in front of everyone, she bought a costly alabaster vial of perfume and emptied it upon Jesus' head and feet in John 12:3. Jesus used the circumstance to emphasize his temporary earthly stay and the fact that he should be exalted above others. However, Judas' concern was a selfish one. He was known to steal from the money box that he kept from the disciples. John 12:6. Besides a number of smaller references to Bethany, one final event took place there. Bethany provided the location for Jesus' final blessing to his disciples and his subsequent parting. This encounter made up the final scene of ascension in Luke's Gospel 24:50-53. Luke 24:50-51 reads, "And he led them out as far as Bethany, and he lifted up his hands and blessed them. Now it came to pass, while he blessed them, that he was parted from them and carried up into heaven." Bethany, even though it remains still not commonly known to many people, We cannot forget the occurrences of biblical truth we find in the scriptures that took place in Bethany. For these stories bring us great insight on the compassion and love that Jesus had for his people and still obtains for us. Through these great stories, we can find ourselves relating to these people. For example, it is very often that the story of the woman who anointed Jesus' feet is brought up when speaking about humility. This woman obtained, in my opinion, a very high rank of humility, perhaps the highest. She humbled herself before the mighty God, knowing and trusting that his words are true. The city of Bethany was a special city due to the fact that Jesus could have chosen any other city to have his last moments before he was taken up to heaven, but yet he chose Bethany. He blessed the people before he left. What a mighty and tremendous experience that must have been to witness Jesus being caught up in the sky. And there are also many other things that Jesus did, which if it were written one by one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. John 21:25.